Now, face the mighty bison.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I want to make another video and talk about this Nikatu leave in Tekken situation. Before that, it was Harada. There was a couple of things that I seen kind of said around the internet, and I just want to kind of give a little bit of information to support or debunk some of these theories. So the first thing that I'll talk about is just Nikatu leaving. This came out of nowhere. It shocked everyone. Bandai Namco would have been prepared for this, which is why they probably would have gave him the order to fix the game, to fix market sentiment before he leaves, because him leaving with the game being in a bad state could kill the franchise. But since he left and the game is kind of decent, some people could care less that he's gone, and they're kind of even blaming him for being gone. I just seen a couple of tweets. Here's two examples of Tone's tweet. And then this is another person's tweet here. But basically, you have people who are saying, shouldn't we celebrate? Nikatu is the one who gave us Season 2. He's the one who gave us Lydia and Reina. And he is basically the problem with the franchise. And the reason why I wouldn't necessarily say that is because things could get much worse. We've seen what happened when a Soul Calibur dev, right, Nikatu, working on some Soul Calibur games, even though he has 20 years of history with Tekken, some Soul Calibur experience, some DOA developers. There was also Shimbori, which is the DOA developer who had a big influence on the game as well. We've seen what happened when DOA and the Soul Calibur dev take a little bit of control of Tekken. It kind of changes a little bit. Now, the question that I would ask you guys is, what do you think will happen when someone with no Tekken background takes over? The reason why I want to celebrate Nikatu leaving is because he still was grounded somewhat in the realms of Tekken, which means he understood how to make the game. And the fact that he was able to pull back Season 3 and win over the players is evidence of that. And we don't know if the next guy will be capable or if that would even be his job, because Bandai Namco has different priorities and they don't really care about the players. You know, we'll talk about that in a second. But for the people who are celebrating Nikatu leaving because they consider him to be the problem, be careful what you ask for. The next person may have no Tekken background knowledge at all, and they may not understand what you're saying when you're talking about down 4-2s and +8 on block. They may not understand at all. Now, speaking of what's happening with just Harada overall and Bandai Namco, Harada is building a team of, right now, mostly Tekken developers, ex-developers. It is not confirmed that Nikatu will go and join him, but it's very likely. Nikatu said he's done with Tekken, but he wants to continue game development. That sounds like he's going to Harada. And the reason why this is so dangerous is because if you have the leaders of Tekken go to another game, the people who are like core development staff and very friendly with Harada will leave. And another reason why these guys will be very motivated to leave is because what's going on at Bandai Namco, just Bandai Namco as a whole. I put out this very long tweet that will probably get me into trouble, but I don't care. Bandai Namco is a terrible company and it deserves to be said. There's a couple of things that I want to note here. One, there was a whistleblower statement from 2024, and this comes from an employee within the company that was talking about how Bandai Namco is just very greedy and they wanted to downsize their company to save money, and they were doing anything and everything to get rid of their employees. Pause and read this if you want to see the details. At the same time, there was two quotes from Harada that stood out. There was one quote where Harada was talking about how the games are no longer being designed around passion and it's now being designed around money. And then in the same exact time frame, 2024, all of this was happening. Harada also stated how Bandai Namco, their executives are changing very frequently, and they only care about what will make their resume better, how they can make some money. They don't really care about franchises or identities, and they're only interested in milking the franchises. So when you have these two quotes here from Harada combined with what Bandai Namco themselves are doing, this would create an environment where people would want to leave and people would want to join Harada. For example, you have one of the longtime artists who worked on the game. This person put out a very nice and beautiful statement kind of saying thank you to Nikatu. Nikatu was a large reason why this person was hired, and as they clarified here, it says, for those who don't know, let me clarify. It wasn't simply as me just being friends with Nikatu and getting to work on Tekken. It wasn't as simple as just being friends with Nikatu and getting Tekken work handed to me because of that. For 4 years, Nikatu kept showing my drawings around the company saying, hey, this artist who does stuff like this, but they were so awful that the team kept rejecting me with a flat useless over and over again. Finally, I got those words from Harada, you got it pretty good lately, and that's when my long held dream came true and I finally got to draw for Tekken 7. So someone like this who puts out this statement after Nikatu leaves the company and is talking about how much they are thankful for Nikatu and Harada and what they've done for their personal career. When you look at what's going on in Bandai Namco, they're not really going to be motivated to stay. And when their contract expires or when they have the opportunity, they will want to leave with Harada. And we will see so many people leave, and it will be so many people that we won't see leave. So many people are lower levels of the game development branch. And when they leave, there isn't news articles made. There isn't things posted. But these guys are very important. Maybe they do some voice acting. Maybe they do some mocap. Maybe they do some frame data. Maybe they're more on the technical side, the visual side, the stage side, DLC side. There's so many different functioning parts with Tekken. And all of them are going to remember Harada as the great leader as he was. And look at his new studio backed by Saudi money and want to join. Not all of them will or can or may join, but some of them, if enough of them do, it can cause harm. And this is where Bandai Namco steps in to try to basically prevent this by calming the players and their developers. Yasuda, who is basically going to be acting as one of the faces of Tekken going forward, him and Michael Murray, we'll talk about Michael Murray after this. Yasuda says 20 years, that's just not time. It's a huge chapter of Tekken's history. Nikatu helped write it alongside those who came before and the community that made it matter. Grateful for everything you've built and left behind for us to carry forward. From here, the Tekken project moves forward as one, not with just a few people, but all of us fully committed moving together. And this last sentence that I read is pretty important because this is Yasuda, which is basically like one of the heads of the company. It was basically saying, together, unified, we are going to continue making Tekken. And a lot of people celebrated with this statement. A lot of people were happy. And you can see that they are trying to basically not let this situation overflow into complete chaos where people think Tekken is dead. Tekken could go down a sticky path when it's time to build a new game from scratch. And if you don't have the right hands on that, from scratch Tekken, it could go very, very wild, far more wild than Tekken 8 has ever gotten. We've seen examples of this with so many other franchises I talked about in previous videos. Now, one of the people who definitely will play a big role in the future of Tekken for as long as they stay there is Michael Murray. Now, I understand that Michael Murray is hated by all of you. His use of Twitter is definitely not the best. Before Michael Murray started tweeting, he was beloved and he was celebrated. And this is even shown by the way that he participates in tournaments. Not only just being at the tournaments, but he spends hours talking to everyone, playing games with everyone. He truly cares about the game. Even though he gets on Twitter and starts yapping and talking nonsense, he cares. And he also has a background in Tekken, which is very, very important. Once he leaves, and if he joins Harada, and Nikatu joins Harada, there will basically be no reason for a low-level developer to stay at Bandai Namco. And if that came to be, Tekken would be over. But I've seen this tweet here where it says, I feel like the last two patches were not done by Nikatu, but he had helped guide whoever did them, so they were in the right direction for him to leave with confidence that the balance of the team would be in solid hands. I think Tekken will be fine, hopefully. I do, however, think Murray may leave soon as well for the trio to be working under Harada's new team. This is good. Hopefully we get a new banner of fighting games that rivals the fun that Tekken brings. Now, Michael Murray went on to like this tweet, which is a very powerful thing. Him liking a tweet where someone is saying that he would leave and join Nikatu and Harada. That's powerful. But he even responds to comments and says, the online Tekken community makes it pretty easy. Harada and Nikatu put up with corporate for 20 years, just saying. I'm talking about how Bandai Namco is the problem and Michael Murray just confirmed it. That is the issue. And that is why other developers would want to leave Bandai Namco and join Harada, because they're sick of dealing with corporate. Now, the fact that Michael Murray is the face of Tekken, kind of operating, he's doing interviews and he's talking on behalf of the company, that probably means he will be there for at least a year or so. Maybe he will see it through to the end of Tekken 8. They wouldn't allow him to be the face of the corporation if he was deciding to leave otherwise, but the fact that he is being the face of the corporation and Yasuda means that they're going to be there for at least a little while longer. Now, there's more examples here that I can show you guys of players blaming Michael Murray for everything, where they're saying like, take Michael Murray with you. Michael Murray is here with the franchise, it's screwed. But I think, once again, like I said with Nikatu, you guys don't know what true suffering is. These guys are the foundations of Tekken. They have the history of Tekken. They've been the leaders of Tekken since Tekken was Tekken. Those leaders are leaving. And when we get new leaders, you guys will see soon enough how the game evolves because of it. A tweet that I caught at the last second, and it's important to put into this video, the person at the center of all of this, Harada-san, he's talked about how he's received a lot of gifts. Plants, arcade boards, all type of things that people are sending him as a congratulation. But then the other part of this is important. It says applications literally flooded in before we have officially started our recruiting process. And as a result, nearly all this year hiring slots have been already reserved. We will be likely choosing applicants for the time being. In the end, we even got the chance to experience what a normal first year recruiting cycle looks like. There are only 2 remaining days this month available for our office tour reservation. And with this statement, he also has a couple of pictures of the office where you can see where all the employees will work. And he also shows the outside air where you can catch a little bit of sun. He also has this video that's stitched together where he's going around and recording everything that's been sent to him. So this is kind of what I mean when I say, like, the Tekken developers who wants to leave Bandai Namco and join Harada, they don't have an infinite amount of time to do so. Harada is already flooded with applications, and if they want to leave, now would be the time, which once again is probably why Nikatu submitted his resignation so soon. The final thing that I want to say is people were throwing around the idea of whether or not Bandai Namco will sell Tekken. If Tekken 9 goes on the flop, if Tekken 8 ends poorly, will Bandai Namco be put in such a position to where they can no longer produce it anymore and sell it? You see this tweet kind of playing around with the idea, and you see this tweet here also playing around with the idea. It is not for certain what Bandai Namco will or will not do, but I did research into their history, and they do not have a history of selling franchises. If they cannot make money off of their franchise, they just put it on ice. I highly doubt they would ever sell Tekken to Harada, especially after what's going on. These corporations tend to be very bitter, and they would probably rather sell it to EA or someone else than Harada. But more importantly is that that's not even what they do, period. A lot of their old IPs, they still have it sitting on it, just collecting dust. This is what Bandai Namco is known for, gathering as many IPs as possible just to own the rights of it. And you can make TVs, movies, video games, whatever. They could start making Tekken mobile games if Tekken doesn't pan out. So the idea of them selling Tekken now is not an idea that I would entertain.